Perfect. Okay, so I'll talk about the creatures of the human cortical somatosensory system. So what do we mean by creatures? Or what is the most famous creature that we know from the neurosciences? It's, of course, the homunculus, a disproportional representation of body parts on the cortical surface, here on the primary somatosensory cortex, S1. It all started more than 8 years ago when Penfield and co-authors applied direct cortical stimulation and recorded the reports of sensation from different body parts. They established a map that had two features. One is a sequential representation of body parts from head to toe, namely somatotopy, and the other is body parts proportion depicted by this grotesque creature, the homunculus. The proportion was found different from our physical proportion and rather corresponding to peripheral peripheral of neural innervation, and thus manifested with large hand representation and mouth and rather small representation of the trunk and the leg. Since then, many studies elaborated our knowledge on the somatosensory representation. So here, looking at the right hemisphere on an inflated cortex in a lateral view, medial view, and the operculum insula enlarged, we see that additional body maps were shown in areas outside of S1. So, of course, in the secondary somatosensory area, S2, and also in motor areas, and even a body map in the cingulate cortex. So I think that one of the big questions that can be asked here is, what are the large-scale organization principles? Are these principles in all these representations similar to the one of S1? Do we expect to find the same grotesque creatures in other areas? So for that, we first quantify here body part spatial distribution, and we also quantified the level of response selectivity and also its laterality. Most previous studies focused either on a specific cortical region or on a specific body part stimulation. Here we used fMRI while applying a whole body tactile stimulation with a paintbrush, and participants were stimulated continuously while the experimented maintained a constant pace with auditory instructions, and the stimulation was applied both from lip to toe and from toe to lip in the right and left body sides. Each body cycle lasted 15 seconds and was repeated 7 times. In order to generate a response map, we first defined a prediction by convolving the Boxer function with a hemodynamic response, and then applying a cross-correlation analysis to compute different correlation values that correspond to different body parts. The resultant map, group map of 20 participants, is shown here on the right hemisphere, corresponding to left body stimulation, and here lips are marked in red, upper limb in orange and yellow, the trunk in light and dark green, and the lower limb in blue shades. When superimposing the previously shown body maps, it seems like the somatosensory representation is vast and also continuously, spatially continuous. The response map in the left hemisphere corresponding to right body stimulation was found comparable to the one of the right hemisphere. And looking at these maps, we wanted to ask whether this spatial distribution and grotesque creature in S1 is also the one that we expect to find in the entire representation. So first of all, we managed to verify our approach by reproducing Penfield's original finding, showing in S1 large representation of the upper limb and the lips, and small representation of the trunk and the leg. But surprisingly, looking at the entire somatosensory system, we found a significantly different distribution, showing a much higher or almost double representation of the trunk and much lesser representation of the lips, actually depicted in a different creature. So we decided to dive into that and to divide the somatosensory representation into sub-areas. And for that, we used a multimodal cortical parcellation by Glaser et al. that delineates 180 parcellation areas in each hemisphere. And we first of all defined 4 gross anatomical regions within the somatosensory representation. We defined a parietal one, a frontal one, a medial region, and also the operculum and insular cortex. In each one of these regions, we quantified the distribution of body parts. The parietal region showed high dominancy of upper limb representation and lesser of the lips. The frontal area that had the same rank order as in S1 had quantitative differences in the relative of body size. And the medial region that was the most different from S1 was the most similar to our physical proportions. And lastly, the operculum and insula had a very large representation of the trunk and the upper limb and almost absence of the lower limbs. Okay, additional feature that we quantify in a large-scale view here is the selectivity of response. So, due to our sequential order of stimulation of body parts, we managed to quantify selectivity in each voxel through its event-related averaging. So, response selectivity can either be sharply tuned and more selective, or it can be with a wider distribution, less selective. And to compute that, in each voxel, we fitted a Gaussian and defined selectivity as 1 over its standard deviation. The resultant map here show high selectivity in red and low selectivity in blue. Just remember, though it's the same color as body parts, these are meant for selectivity. And maybe not surprisingly, show high selectivity in primary cortices, in M1 and S1, while in other more distant and high-order cortices, we show lower selectivity. The other feature that we quantify here is the level of laterality. So for a given stimulation, a response can be either contralateral or ipsilateral or both, bilateral. So by computing the difference between contralateral and ipsilateral response normalized by their sum, we managed to define the level of contralateral dominance. And the resultant map, also here, which the most contralateral response in red and the bilateral response in blue, it seems again that high order cortices tends to be more bilateral, while the primary ones are more contralateral. So looking at these both maps, first of all, they look quite similar. And second of all, it seems like there are trends or spatial trends when these two features decrease from primary cortices into high-order ones. So in order to quantify that, we went back to the 4 gross anatomical regions and defined directions that start from the primary area S1 or from the central sulcus to the periphery. So here, the frontal region from the central sulcus posteriorly, while defining parcellation lines as all the parcellation areas that has the same distance from the central sulcus. Similarly, we defined a frontal direction and a medial direction, and lastly, the operculum insula direction that goes inferiorly and anteriorly on the lateral surface. So when quantifying both selectivity and laterality, we saw that both of them decrease in 3 of these directions. They decrease in the parietal direction, in the frontal direction, and in the medial direction. Okay, so let us conclude and suggest some interpretation of these results. So first of all, we saw that there are different organization principles across the somatosensory representation, and more specifically, that there are different body part spatial distribution across functional regions. We suggest that these creatures may imply some functional specialization that might rely on the interaction between somatosensory processing and other processes. We also saw that selectivity and laterality vary across the cortical surface, and they decrease gradually from S1 in 3 directions. So maybe that can also suggest some processing streams similar to the well-known ones in the visual system. Of course, many more studies on different other functional tasks needs to be done here in order to verify it. With that, I would like to thank both my mentors, Shachar Arzi and Jonathan Levinstein, and all our group members, to thank our our fund sources, the MRI unit at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and of course you for listening. If anyone would like to see more of that or discuss the results, so you are welcome to attend my posters in today's session. And thank you, and I'll be happy to answer questions.